Hello and a warm welcome to the CNBC Africa special on Gauteng and the TMR progress. I'm Gugulethu Cele. Now, a little over a year ago, Gauteng Premier David Makhura set the province on a number of important tips with regard to future economic growth based on transformation, modernization and re-industrialisation goals, which were set to be achieved within the year. In his 2016 State of the Province address in February, he outlined the advances made in various areas, from township economic revitalization to dealing with escalating urbanization through housing, transport and infrastructure. Education and skills development, together with job creation, to technology and e-government initiatives were also highlighted in the speech. Now, here with me to discuss these and other achievements is Gauteng Premier David Makhura. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. Such a pleasure to have you with us. I must say that I was present at the State of the Province address, and it was rather interesting to know that you were working on your birthday. So perhaps the residents of the Gauteng Province need to take lead from you with regard to that particular initiative. So happy belated birthday on that front, but also congratulations on some of the major milestones that were achieved in this last year. Perhaps if you can get a quick overview in light of the TMR strategy as to how far we've come so far on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest score, and how much more progress is necessary in the next year.
Good morning, Gugulethu, and thank you for the compliment. You know that South Africa has adopted the National Development Plan, which is the roadmap for the entire country in every aspect of development, the economy, human resource development, healthcare, institution building, education, dealing with poverty, inequality and unemployment. So it's a very comprehensive plan. So with regard to us in Gauteng, we took that National Development Plan and said, if we were to implement a provincial plan to give effect to the National Development Plan, which is unique, which is based on the distinct features, competitive as well as comparative advantages that we have relative to the rest of the country and indeed the rest of the continent. What is it we should focus on? And that's what gave rise to our program, which we call the TMR, Transformation, Modernization and Reindustrialization. And this is informed principally by the fact that Gauteng is the industrial and economic hub of South Africa. In a big way, that we are the industrial hub of SADC, the SADC region. We contribute quite significantly to the economy of the continent, between 7 and 10%, just as a region, as a sub-national economy.
From what I've heard, Premier, if you locate the Gauteng province in comparison to some of the other nations, South Africa, Nigeria would be number one, South Africa number 2, Egypt number 3, and Gauteng as a province alone could compare as ranking as number 4 when it comes to economic growth. So this is a significant economy you're taking care of. Yes,
of course there are changes, major changes in the economy of the continent. So from time to time we may be number 4, 5, 6, shifting in between there. We know there are major changes there. So with regard to the progress we have made, Gugulethu, in the past year in implementing our TMR program, the principal pillar of this, first and foremost, is the economy. Because, you know, Gauteng, the most distinct thing about Gauteng is that people come here for reasons of looking for economic opportunities, either as entrepreneurs, as investors, or as workers. They come here from all over the country, they come here from all over SADC, the SADC region, and indeed the continent. And others come from Europe, Asia, and the Americas looking for opportunities. So we take the economy as the number one issue that we have to tackle. And I announced during the State of the Province address that over the last year and a half we have interacted extensively with various sectors of business around how to turn around the performance of the Gauteng economy. We're still relatively doing well, even if the national economy and the global economy is going through difficulties. We still contribute up to 35% to South Africa's GDP. In major sectors, we are the drivers of South Africa's economy, particularly the key sectors such as finance, retail, manufacturing. We are the key. That's why we are, the JS is located here. The strongest financial institutions are located here. The industrial manufacturing capacity, industrial output, 42% of industrial output of the country comes out of here. So in many respects, but we have structural problems, and that's why in our new economic plan that I spoke about, which we have been engaging various sectors of business around to turn around this economy, but also to launch it on a new path, on a new development path, on a new growth path that is more inclusive, that will create more employment, that will empower particularly black people who you know have largely been left out of the mainstream of our economy. So we have begun to make significant progress. And one thing I must say is that we work very closely with the private sector because business is important. We held a summit last year on infrastructure. One of the important things about turning around the economy is that you have to have the state-of-the-art infrastructure. So we had a very good summit last year. Private sector participation is key. What are the key infrastructure areas we are focusing on as part of turning around this economy, putting it on a new growth path, putting it on a more inclusive, growing, employment-intensive path? Is to look at public transport infrastructure. So we're rolling out public transport infrastructure in Gauteng at a scale that has never happened before. From the BRT systems to the expansion of the Gautrain, the modernization of the metro rail, that's the commuter rail system. So we are doing significantly new things with regard to public transport infrastructure. Secondly, we are also investing in broadband because connectivity in a new and modern economy, connectivity is like water. It's such a basic thing.
True.
And the cost of it is also a key factor with regard to inhibiting economic growth and development. So we are expanding connectivity to areas in the province where there has never been before. But again, we are working with our cities. Every city you would hear them talk about smart cities, free Wi-Fi, and we are what we call the Gauteng broadband. Is the critical area of our investment. We put in more than 32 billion rands into that. That's the second area of infrastructure. But we're also sorting out energy capacity. To ensure that we have a growing economy. There's additional energy, including renewable energy. So we're working with our cities again this year, together with the city of Johannesburg and Tshwane. We will announce with the things I announced last year are now taking effect this year. And in government, it takes a bit of time for decisions to be made because there's what's called due process. You must put this out there to the public, invite all participants, so that before you decide who must do the job, it is a process that has been followed through an open tender system, and there are no question marks. So energy is the third area of investment, which is very important. Then we're investing as well in water and sanitation infrastructure, particularly for the built environment, for new post-apartheid cities that I spoke about.
Yes.
Lanseria, the river city in the Vaal. You need sanitation capacity in those areas to unlock development. Also for new mega human settlements, because Gauteng attracts 200,000 people annually into this economy from all over the continent, as I said, but largely South Africans from all over the country. So housing delivery together with the economy. The second big issue is shelter for people who are coming here looking for work. So housing delivery is a critical issue, and I have taken the extraordinary step of bringing MEC Mashatile in, who's a very experienced politician who has led government in this province and nationally. I've roped him in to help us drive critically this issue of housing delivery, but also changing the spatial landscape of Gauteng, because we want to locate people closer to work opportunities. We want to build, but also build economic nodes much closer to where our people are located now.
Yes.
And that's why we talk about the township economy revitalization.
I'd like us to get into that, Premier, if we can, because all these investments that you alluded to, from infrastructure to the technology, will certainly create an enabling environment for these township economies to thrive. But what about the rest of the ecosystem, such as the ease of registering a business, the ease of getting a tax clearance certificate, and all these other elements that often cause so much frustration to SMMEs in South Africa?
Yes, I think it's quite important that we address all the dimensions of making Gauteng more attractive for investment. And I'm very pleased that, in fact, the Ernst & Young's latest Africa Attractiveness Survey shows that we have, as a province, as the city region, the Gauteng city region has attracted the largest FDI. The FDI flows into Africa.
Yeah.
The latest, which is the 2016 report, says 30 billion rands have flown into the Gauteng economy. Now, how do we get that to happen? Firstly, we have institutions, sound institutions, financial institutions, including governance, sound governance, including how we deal with a range of issues. We have taken a lead in the country by establishing the Gauteng Investment Center, which is located here in Sandton as the one-stop shop. You heard the president's in the State of the Nation address. The president made a very strong point that one thing that business raised strongly is the need to facilitate the processes of doing business, the ease of doing business, tackle red tape, and deal with all the unnecessary bureaucratic delays. So we in Gauteng already have experienced the benefits of this, of having a one-stop shop here in Sandton, where we bring different agencies of government. Business people have given us very positive feedback about the work of the Gauteng Investment Center. We bring business people here, we brief them on various issues, on issues of compliance, applying to register a business, applying for visas and all those. We handle them at one place already. And that has assisted us a lot. So we also tackling other issues pertaining to red tape. We have reduced the application for environmental impact assessments, which used to take up to 24 months. People used to wait up to 24 months. We have now cut that to 3 months. And my objective in this term of the government I have the honor to lead is to reduce that to 30 days. We're also dealing with, there are other building up, when you have to build anywhere in the built environment, you have to apply to the municipality. We're also working with all municipalities in Gauteng to deal with that, so that we make it easy for business people to locate in our province and do their work. Those who want to set up a business anywhere in Gauteng, in accordance with our blueprint. And our blueprint is that every corridor, which we have 5 corridors, which is the current metros together with the 2 districts. So Johannesburg is the central corridor, Tshwane is the northern corridor, Ekurhuleni is the eastern corridor. Each of those corridors have specializations with regard to industries and sectors we are promoting. So we also working to ensure that when a business person comes into Gauteng, they want to establish a particular type of business, we direct them, go and do it in that area. We have already facilitated all the pre-approvals, including a piece of land. If you want to set up a manufacturing factory on renewable energy or on any other area, we know that you go to the West Rand. We have already identified areas where this will be done. And this is part of ensuring that we become more attractive for investment. We become a preferred investment destination in our continent. So the Gauteng city region as a single entity, even though we have provincial government and municipalities, we operate as a single entity. We want to make decisions at the fastest pace possible. Business people can't wait for us. We want to keep them here. Otherwise, they'll locate elsewhere in the continent or elsewhere in the world.
Exactly. So it's a matter of retaining some of that investment we find here. Premier, it's also well documented that a lot of these business individuals and those who participate in the township economy have stores which are owned by foreign nationals.
Yes.
Through Ntirisano and the initiatives that you've highlighted in your State of the Province address, what has the feedback been like with regard to xenophobic attacks as well as foreign nationals who are based in these economies where sometimes they don't always feel as though they're welcome?
Well, Gugulethu, let me first say that, you know, there's a dynamic relationship between particularly in the informal and small business sector, between the Africans all over the continent and what's happening in the Gauteng economy. We are already connected to the SADC economy. In fact, our Gauteng City Region Observatory, which is a research institution, has just completed a study that shows that a lot of what takes place in the Gauteng economy, including in the townships, people who are trading, who are operating businesses here, these businesses are already connected with the neighboring countries, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. People are trading in between. South Africans and African nationals are trading in between. So there is already a dynamic connection between. We can't cut our economy. The South African economy cannot separate itself from the African continent. We can't do that. This economy is already dynamically linked, and we are the key driver already. In many respects, we are the key driver of this economy. So what I would like to say, as I do when I go into the townships, is to say that I think we should, the xenophobia is something unacceptable. We should educate our people to understand that you know, Africa belongs to us Africans, and in many respects, yes, there's citizenship, there are boundaries. Yes, we must respect that. We must ensure that the people move in between our countries lawfully, and we regulate that. But the answer is not violence. The answer is not hatred, because Africa is the only thing we have, and this is time for Africa. So we Africans have to rise, you know. The Africa rising narrative cannot be a function of Asia and Europe sitting there and America saying that we must move into Africa and seize the opportunities. And intra-Africa trade is something we must promote very, very strongly. And there's major opportunities for us to, Africa is big enough. It has got all the resources for us to address fundamental problems of underdevelopment, unemployment, poverty, and inequality. We can do that by promoting Africans working together. In the township economy space, I always also say to the communities that many spaza shop owners are the ones who rent out their spaza shops to foreign nationals.
True.
Because some of them are tired, are fatigued of trading. And there's lots of things that the foreign nationals do, creative things, to promote trade, to be more competitive. And we must get our township entrepreneurs to learn the tricks of trade. And we are supporting a lot of the township entrepreneurs. And in the State of the Province address, I gave figures. There is the resurgence of the township economy and the township entrepreneur. There's lots of excitement there. People are saying, yes, we can make it. For a long time, government was supporting the big guys, and now we are focusing on the SMMEs, the entrepreneurs that are township-based, the informal traders too. We want to assist them. We want to provide the necessary infrastructure. We also want to use the government procurement budget. And the Gauteng has a 10 billion budget that is for goods and services. So we're already spending, as the provincial government, 1.8 billion rands. We want to move to 30%. Yeah. The municipalities have spent in the last financial year 1.6 billion rands. So in just 12 months, we have spent 3.2 billion rands, empowering almost 2,000 enterprises. And many of these enterprises, the entrepreneurs were at the State of the Province address. They are beaming with hope, they are beaming with energy. And they can feel that, you know, if you stand up and do something, we will give you a helping hand. Because business is not about handouts. An entrepreneur knows they have to work much harder, they have to work much smarter.
Sure.
We will provide a helping hand to them, but they have to run their businesses. They must know business has ups and downs.
Exactly.
We don't do business. We are a government. We set policy. We provide the infrastructure. We also provide the resources, and they compete amongst themselves. So I look forward to a very dynamic role for the SMME sector and the township economy. And in Africa, Gugulethu, in many parts of Africa, it's the informal sector that is the creator of employment. If you go to Ghana, people don't sleep there. People are working dynamically to ensure that the informal sector is such a dynamic sector. In our country, I think we are improving that. The township economy is getting more formalized. What is regarded as the informal sector is going to increasingly get more support. We don't want the people who are trading in our streets to be punished by our metropolis. We must provide a supportive environment so they can do trade, because they put bread on the table. They educate their children. They take their children to school. They help us not to overburden our social grants. They are providing for themselves. In fact, I see, as I reported, more people who are in the social grants, especially those who can work, would get out of the social grants like the 4,444 that I spoke about. Because if we create economic opportunities, people will say, no, it's too little to wait for a grant. The grant is too little. I can work for myself and make more money.
Exactly.
And this Gauteng economy is dynamic, but it has to grow for everybody, not only for the few.
Having said that, Honourable Premier, fundamentally it also starts with our most important resource, which is human beings and their healthcare, which is also a significant priority. From what you stated in the State of the Province address, you are very strong in your wording that there will be no room for qualified audits, which unfortunately the Health Department has fallen under in the last financial year. How are we going to solve this problem, and how are we addressing it, given the fact that the healthcare system is quite a complex one? It's the infrastructure that needs to be there, technology, together with the skills and individuals who will fundamentally roll out this particular service to the citizens of the province.
Yes, certainly you are absolutely right that on the side of human development, education and health are critical drivers for us. So we say if we want to get the economy to grow in an inclusive way, if we want to ensure that we can provide housing and other infrastructure for the people of the province, we also want to invest in the people themselves. So education is critical. We say lots of things about how we are turning around the education system and the health, the capabilities of our healthcare system. And in that regard, we deal a lot with the government performance. So from our education department to our healthcare department and all our departments. And that's where we say we strive to build Gauteng as a center of public service excellence. And in the report that I gave during the State of the Province address, you saw I outlined which departments are already showing that they are centers of excellence. So health has had problems over many years. Even before I became Premier, when I was the Secretary of the ANC, we have always been worried about the state of the Department of Health in Gauteng. What I am glad about is that it is now stabilized financially. The Department of Health is also now focusing on the core business of providing quality health care, ensuring that the clinics and hospitals run properly, ensuring that we deal with the problem of long waiting hours and long queues in our hospitals, ensuring that we can save life. And that's the attention we are paying now to healthcare. Investing in technology, ensuring that we get the state-of-the-art equipment, because medicine and healthcare has advanced, has modernized significantly in the world. So you can't do medicine and healthcare the way it was done 20 years ago. So we are also investing in that, what we call e-health, so that you can even diagnose. I met doctors who were saying to me, we can diagnose patients without coming into contact with them. They don't even have to come to a hospital.
Well, these are some of the outcomes from the e-governance conference that was hosted last year.
Yes. So in that way, the investments we are making in connectivity, broadband connectivity, and the rollout of ICT in modernizing the public services is impacting in education with our ICT in education. You know, that's a big story. Gauteng is leading with the modernization of education. E-learning is making breakthroughs, but we're doing so also in healthcare. We're doing so in other areas of public services as well, including in policing. We want to pioneer what is called e-policing, using modern technologies to improve the efficiency of our crime fighting capabilities and efficiencies. I can assure you, you are going to see lots of change in the area of policing in the coming years. I have lots of confidence in General Dilange, who is our new provincial commissioner. We're going to improve police visibility in Gauteng, because business is also about creating a safe and secure environment.
Exactly.
Business people would not come here unless they are assured that we can keep crime under control.
How do you encourage the Gauteng citizen to participate in some of these initiatives that you've highlighted and to maintain their confidence in your leadership?
We are investing whatever money we get as a province from the national share. We are spending this money wisely. We are putting this money to help turn around the economy so that we can, the many township people, the township youth in the streets of our townships who are unemployed, can suddenly see that there is hope. We are putting this money in sorting out infrastructure, in helping we are putting it in education and healthcare so that it works for everybody. And you will see how much we are doing to deal with the issue of youth unemployment through CEP of 500,000.
Yes.
That's an extensive intervention there. So I certainly want to assure the people of our province that we are working extremely hard. You know, we hardly sleep. I have a team of MECs that work very hard, that are very responsive. We are all over the province, but we need a partnership with the whole of society, with various, with business, with civil society. We need a partnership with the churches, the religious sector, to fight the scourge of social ills. We need a partnership with the private sector and trade unions to tackle the economic challenges. And build these new sectors of the economy that will create more jobs. So we need everybody. We need a partnership with the youth to fight drugs. We need a partnership with women to fight gender-based violence and to ensure that we have more women and more young people participating in the economy. So the word for me is partnerships. Partnerships
and cohesiveness.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Honourable Premier. Certainly changing the stereotypes around this leading province, which is an economic hub on the province, or rather on the continent, from perhaps GP presents growth prospects going forward. But we'll have to leave it there for today. This certainly does bring our insightful conversation with the Gauteng Premier to an end. But we will continue to take a look at the ongoing initiatives regarding the Gauteng provincial government on its three main goals, being transformation, modernization and re-industrialization.